the dashboard project is kind of, I guess, a little experiment that we're starting, where it's something that we're not just building ourselves, but we're trying to build, in conjunction with the community. So today, what we're going to do is just walk through a demo of the new dashboard that Fede and I have been working on. And I'll kind of explain how the community can get involved in the project. So yeah, so first of all, what is Dashboard? Dashboard is a control center for Hummingbot instances. And the goal is to build basically a framework, which is very simple to use, have a variety of different dashboards that everyone launches with the same kind of like format, which is using Docker Compose. And so these dashboards will do different things. Some will launch and manage bots for you. Others will analyze the performance of individual bots. And then there'll be other utility dashboards that help you do other things, like inspecting historical data, adding configuration files to your bots, and those kind of things. So we think that this project is actually a really good one to start incorporating community members. And the reason is because the way that Streamlit is structured is that each dashboard it's its own page and its own folder. Streamlit is also a very easy framework, so it's easy to just understand how it works and start adding stuff to the dashboards. And so because of the modular structure of these dashboards, we think that each dashboard could have one or two people from the community focused on it. In addition, the needs here are not just for development. There's actually a lot of like front end and design and user testing that we think we'll need for it to have the right experience for the people using it. And so the way that we think about it is our role is to kind of like set the overall standards, kind of like guide the people working on it, and we'll kind of create bounties for like relatively well-defined tasks. So the overall idea is that if you're just kind of prototyping something, that's not really a bounty. But if there's a point where there's like, hey, we need to incorporate maybe like this library and achieve this level of like user experience, and that would take, let's say, 3 days of development effort. That's where, once we can scope it, then we can create the bounties and then assign it to devs for specific actions like that. But overall, because it's initially it's just like kind of like a beta kind of model. Initially, we're just looking for people who are looking, good developers, good designers, good project managers who can come and help us build individual dashboards. Before we get started, let me just give you a quick demo of what we have so far, so that you can understand kind of like what the dashboard looks like and kind of like how it all kind of works. So we just made some changes to the repo. So the repo is Hummingbot Dashboard. So if you go to this one, you should be able to already play around with what's on the main branch and some of these like prototype dashboards that we've created. So I have it running here already. Once you install the dependencies and once you load the conda environment, this is very similar to if you're setting up Hummingbot. It's also a Python project. You also need to install dependencies, which we show you here, how to do that. And then after you've done that, you can just run streamlit run main.py, and the dashboard will launch in your browser.
Mike, just one thing. I also add a make file, so you can just make run.
Okay, got it. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, so you can also do make run to run it as well. We've built a few kind of like prototype dashboards here. So this one is a dashboard that basically helps you filter different exchanges by coin and see a chart of spreads versus volume for individual pairs on different exchanges. So the idea is that if you're looking at trading Avalanche, you might use this tool to help you find which exchanges you should be making on and which exchanges you should be hedging that token on. But this one was just like a prototype one we built last year just to see if this kind of made sense or not. And then we also built kind of this one here, which just uses DeFi Llama data to show you the current status of DeFi protocols and how they relate to each other in terms of like market cap versus total value locked. Really kind of like, research type dashboards. The real dashboards that I think are useful for Hummingbot users right now are things like Candle's downloader, the DB one, which helps you just You can drag in a database file here and analyze performance. But the main ones that we're going to focus on for this dashboard project are strategy performance and bot orchestration. Strategy performance is a dashboard that helps you analyze the performance of a strategy. This is not showing up right now because I need to connect to the Binance API in order to fetch this data, and I'm not currently on a VPN. But if you were on a VPN, this would actually show you the performance for the strategy and run it. I don't want to switch to a VPN right now because I think it's going to break the stream.
By the way, don't worry because this feature is improved because I created a PR 2 weeks ago to store inside the bot. There is a new table with the mid price, the order book snapshot, all that stuff that is recorded by default every minute. You can change it to every second or whatever. So now you're going to have the market data recorded in the same bot, so you don't need to use Binance.
For those on the call, yeah, you should be able to get this running easily. Once you link your data directory, so there's some instructions here in the README here on how you can link your Hummingbot data directory to the dashboard data directory. Once you have that, then you can essentially basically load one of your Hummingbot databases that stores your past trades. And then once you do that, you can basically see all your trades, visualize, and you can even kind of like drag and basically isolate a specific area and see all the trades and orders related to that.
I have one open now. If you want, I can share it. Because to analyze like the performance of one trading pair, and if you trade on multiple trading pairs, it will load like the exchange and the trading pairs that you are using. This interval is the thing that I mentioned that I'm going to work because I'm going to do pre-sample of the mid price to calculate this, the open low high close with the data that is coming from the PR. And then you have some stats like duration, performance. This is a bot that I put to have a lot of trades and visualize the information. So as you can see, you have base inventory change. So this shows you, for example, if you're a market maker and the price is going up and your inventory is going down, obviously you're going to lose a lot of money. And well, in this graph, the last one, you have the P&L that has the trade P&L and the fees like independent. So if the fees are positive, also you can have better results. And also you have here like the tables of trades, orders, and other status. And one thing that is pretty cool about this is that, for example, if you want to check this order, for example, you have a trade, you can copy this, and then here Streamlit has a function to search on a table, and you can do a full search. So here, for example, you have the data of the order of that specific trade. And also, if you want to check the status, you can search here, and we should have the first status, second one, and third one, order created, filled, and completed. So you can track exactly when that happens. This is that page.
Thanks, Fede. I think that's the first kind of dashboard that we'll be kind of focused on. But there's other ones as well. So actually, let me actually show you. I think the orchestration one, which I think is quite impressive. So the way the orchestration one works, you basically have the broker here. So the broker is a community project that a couple of community members have been working on. So this basically helps bots communicate with each other as well as interfaces. So once you start the broker, now you can start Hummingbot instances directly from here. So for example, you can create ones like this. And so once you create one, let's say I've already created one called Hummingbot 1 earlier. I can create another one called Hummingbot 2. And then, and basically you can see that over here in the command line, this is what the broker is now use a Docker image and starting the Hummingbot 2 container. So if I refresh this screen, then it should say Hummingbot 2 over here. And the Hummingbot 2 is already active. In command line and say Docker attach Hummingbot 2. And I should see the actual instance that was launched. There you go. Now you can actually start controlling Hummingbot 2 here by loading strategy files.
Another thing, Mike, if you press the letter R, the page will be reloaded without doing the whole reload of the HTTP. Press C, it lets you clean the cache.
Oh, okay, cool. You can actually start run different things. So let me open another one. And I'm going to start bot 1 here. So this is the one I created earlier. And the reason I'm going to start this one, because I have already loaded this bot with a strategy file here. Each bot has its own configuration file. And so for Hummingbot 1, I manually just kind of copied in script file, basic simple PMM example script. So now this bot should be able to access and run the script pretty much automatically. So let's see if that works. So I'm going to attach the Hummingbot 1 as well. So yeah, so this is actually bot 1. I'm going to run this simple PMM example .py script. There you go. So this bot has started. So I didn't do anything here. This was started by the bot itself because it's actually running on Binance and I don't have Binance connected.
Another thing, Mike, is that for now, as we didn't have one of the features that needs to be developed is a configuration to copy the scripts and all that stuff.
Yeah.
If you check the code, the creation of the container, the script, the mounting of the script is commented.
Okay.
So if you can go to VS Code.
Okay, got it. Okay, got it.
So and also I created a library, so it's not going to work.
Okay, so like script loading issues right now, but overall those are kind of like the things that we think the community can really help with.
Okay, that's a good question from Drutman. The idea is that we are going to have a team that is going to work like in the configuration, and we are going to have like a master folder with all the configurations. So the goal right now, when you are spawning a new Hummingbot instance, is copying the configuration file from the base folder, and that whole configuration is copied to a new bot, and it's the configuration that is used to start. That's why you don't need to use a password. You're using the same password for all the bots, all that stuff. So what we need to do in the configuration side is to create a new page that lets you load the API keys or the configurations, encrypt those configurations with your password, and then when you want to spawn a new bot, you should be selecting, I want to run a bot with these credentials or with this set of API keys, and we'll copy that and send it to the new bot that is going to be created. This is more like a prototype, so others can work on top of it.
The demo didn't quite work, but the overall idea, basically there's probably 2 main dashboards right now that we're focused on. One is the strategy performance dashboard that shows you how every strategy works, analyze the strategy, and there's one that basically orchestrates. Let me kind of go how dashboard kind of fits into the overall ecosystem for Hummingbot. So Hummingbot, when we first started, it was really just this one bot here, like Hummingbot. But in the last few months, it's really kind of grown into a larger ecosystem. The dashboard is a control center that manages bots. The brokers is basically the module that helps the dashboard talk to different bots and enables two-way communication. Hummingbot is kind of like the instance that these are all the different bot instances you're running. And then there's also a companion middleware called Gateway that helps Hummingbot connect to different dexes. In the past, users had a lot of trouble just installing all this because everything was had to be configured separately. But now the reason we have this deploy examples repo is because it does all the work for you of linking them all together. So the dashboard project is really focused on adding more kind of like these control centers in order to help users, access Hummingbot in a more graphical, user-friendly way. Now, in terms of roadmap, the way we're thinking about it is that there's many different approaches to building a dashboard. And to be honest, it's really hard to know whether you're taking the right approach. And so the general approach that I've always had as a product manager is you want to just build something fast, get it out there, and get people using it. However, it's a good chance that what you're building is going to be the wrong long-term solution. And so that's why I think the mentality we should have is that everything we build in 2023 is maybe code that we're going to throw away. And that I think help us, kind of just build something fast, get it out there, and then really get feedback from the user in terms of how it might work. The other reason we think this makes sense is because Streamlit is a really easy framework for people to use and to build easy dashboards, but it may not be suitable for real-time data processing. It may be likely that we want to move to a different framework in 2024 in order to create more responsive or more powerful dashboards. But we're not going to know that until we build something and get it out there with real users. That's why for the beta, the overall goal is to deliver a user experience that looks something like this. A user can go and install Docker Compose, which should be pretty easy because there's lots of instructions out there. Once they do that, they can basically select, basically just run the same command for everything, which is Docker Compose up. Then the dash can launch automatically or something, and then they can go click on that bot orchestration page, and basically click the launch bot command. The launch bot command will basically launch that bot, launch the bot in paper trading mode and display the status for that bot. And the user can then go to the strategy performance for that specific bot type and see the real-time performance, change bot parameters, and also I think they can also should be able to attach to the actual terminal. In addition, users should be able to also use other dashboards that help you analyze performance for other types of strategies, download historical data, and do other utility functions like loading strategies, files, and so how we're going to be organized. First is what are the standards that should be applied to all dashboards? From a design perspective, should there be a base class, things that all dashboard are creating? And the second one is the individual dashboards themselves. So there's probably 4 that we think this should be we should focus on to build. So we already have 3 of these. We already have bot orchestration, strategy performance, and Cando's downloader, but those are very nascent dashboards that need improvement by specific members of the community. In addition, we think there should also be a new one called something like strategy utilities that helps create a strategy configuration file that you can then make available to one of your bots, or maybe download the file from the Hummingbot repo. Fede and I will likely be focused on the standards and helping maybe define what should each bot have, and maybe working on longer term things, like for instance adding the market data recorder to the strategy performance bot, which I think Fede is working on. So there's some core backend and standards tasks like this. But what we're looking for is members of the community who want to work on one or more of these dashboards, and hopefully maybe there's individual teams or people who can take ownership of these individual dashboards, maintain them, improve them, and work with other folks. The idea is that each dashboard should do, basically one main function. In terms of the meetings, more like a casual development sprint, where it's more about what did we accomplish in the last couple of weeks, what are we trying to do, and assigning tasks and those kind of things. But I think I think it might be helpful to have these meetings be public, so that the community can see what actually goes into an engineering planning meeting. Finally, in terms of the team, we've already had a few members of the community who are interested in participating and chiming in. So Amin's an engineer from Coin Alpha. He's already been adding some comments on and reviewing some of the PRs. Dom is a longtime member from the Chinese community, and similar James C. Magic is also a longtime community member as well. The folks we're looking for, I would say, are people who are interested in helping out, 1 or 2 hours a week, focused on specific dashboards. If you want to get involved, put your name in the chat here. For the folks on the call, just add a comment to the chat, and we'll try to add you to the dashboard group channel, where we're just trying to create a little private group to discuss what's going on.
There is one guy from the community, is Mr. Drupman, who wants to work in backtesting. So probably he can join me in that page of directional strategies and a backtesting at high level of how a directional strategy can work.
Okay.
We can add that page to backtesting for directional strategies.
Okay.
Crypto George also is interested. HBot miner fan, curious about if it's possible to link the dashboard with the miner platform to check the miner rewards in the P&L.
I do think it makes sense. If you're interested in defining what you want, basically the miner team actually already has an API available. It's not really public yet, but that's basically what front end of the miner platform consumes. With all the dashboards, there's work to actually define what it does. What should it do? What should it look like? What should all the data to go with it? So we're trying to focus on dashboards that are, we know that people want. It's kind of deal with these individual dashboard teams, because if someone really wants to build a dashboard, they should be the one that designs and builds it, or at least designs and lays it out. From the foundation perspective, I think our focus is really, I think, on the bot orchestration dashboard, which is the main one that just helps you just launch and manage bots. But basically, the idea is that this dashboard team, we will add to the dashboard group channel. Basically, have some type of like meeting like this every 2 weeks, and then afterwards, we would each, or together, publish some type of public update in the dashboard channel for the overall community to work on. What I think was helpful is if everyone, once we add everyone on the team to the group, if you guys can maybe outline what your interests as well as your specialties, and that, I think that'll help me maybe try to figure out how to match people together or pair people up so that everyone has the complementary person that can help them build what they want to build. So question from HP Miner, is a way for non-hardcore coder like trader and miner join? Yeah, I think that's kind of what I'm saying, which is there's developers, but the developers also need direction from users and traders who have an idea of what they want, right? So I think what I think that the role of the traders and the miners here in this dashboard group should be maybe just mocking up certain things in Figma, testing what the devs are building, giving feedback, basically make sure that what's being built is going to be useful. Okay. Well, what I'll do is I'll add everyone to the channel, and then afterward, write down as much detail as you can, what you're interested in terms of strategies, what you're good at, user testing, development, design, whatever. Afterwards, I'll try to organize everyone into these specific dashboards. Oh, yeah. Where should we send our main interest? The dashboard channel or the private one? Well, let me add you guys to the private channel first, and then you guys can add your intros there, because it'll be easier to have a private. I think it's easier to kind of talk and have a conversation in the private channels. It does seem like we have some interest in working on minor pages, so which I think makes sense given the community. Help you guys get a minor page up and running. Okay. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining. I think this is an interesting experiment.
Yeah, very cool. Very excited about this. Just to understand the next steps, in 2 weeks we're going to meet again.
Yes.
In this format.
Yes.
With the groups.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So great question. So in the next 2 weeks, what we're planning on doing is, I think this is just a kickoff meeting, just to make sure everyone understands how the project works. In the next 2 weeks, what we plan on doing is afterwards, I will try to assign already. I'll try to cancel, say the minor page team is comprised of these two members of the community plus maybe a dev who can help them maybe implement. I'm trying to kind of have a bit of a mix between obviously users, people who can kind of test and design pages versus people who can also build. Put your interest there, the technical skill sets as well as non-technical skill sets, and then I'll try to mix and match people. At the next meeting, we should have the assignments already, and then some initial kind of work items.
Okay, that's perfect.
I'm just coming up with on the fly. So if you have any feedback on what might improve the process or might make this better, well, please let me know. Either in the group or DM. Because really, honestly, just a community experiment. This dashboard project is a really good one to actually involve the community, because as you can see, it's easier for a non-coder to actually help out. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.